What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Vega Bomber here, and guess what? I've seen yet another movie, and I'm happy to tell you all about it. The movie that I've seen is The Northman. This is a rated R feature. It's about 2 hours and 17 minutes. It's rated an action adventure, but I'd say there's probably some drama in there as well. This film is directed by Robert Eggers, who you may remember from The Witch and also The Lighthouse, and now he's got The Northman. So he also wrote the screenplay on this particular film as well. So the synopsis, what is The Northman about? The Northman is about Prince Amleth, who's going through this great bonding time with his father because he used to be the next prince. He's the one thing that his dad is super proud of, to the chagrin of his mother, Nicole, played by Nicole Kidman. And so as it turns out, the uncle kills his dad in front of him, and then Amleth then does his best to just get away, to run. And he comes back 2 years later as a Viking, as someone who had learned how to be a berserker, who had gone in and just, they just pillaged towns and did some really horrible stuff. And then he finds out, that his uncle is somewhere not too far away he could get to, and that his uncle is kind of a landlord over this place. He lost the kingdom that he stole from his dad. And so now he decides, okay, now is that perfect time for me to go and stow away as a slave and try to get there so that I can infiltrate my dad's killer, uncle. How about this, uncle? And maybe perhaps go ahead and do that thing he's been thinking about for the last 2 decades, which is nothing but anger and frustration and just being driven by it. It's a pathos all on its own that Alexander Skarsgård, who's playing the prince, is going through. So this film has so many great things going for it, and I'd say one of those things would be the cast. So you got Willem Dafoe, Nicole Kidman, Ethan Hawke, Anya Taylor-Joy, Bjork, and of course Skarsgård himself, Alexander Skarsgård himself. So I thought this was incredible. Now, the typical story here is you would say, well, this sounds a lot like Hamlet, and it does, but Hamlet, or William Shakespeare, I should say, got the story from some old Danish legends that had been written back in the 13th century about Prince Amleth. So you can see he just took Hamlet, switched to Hamlet, just moves that H around, and that's how you get this. So once again, a revenge tragedy story here. This is a very bleak film, so you don't go to this film hoping to have a good time in the sense that everybody's going to be laughing and joking and all that stuff. In fact, go see a Marvel movie if that's what you want. That's not this film at all. This film is going to captivate you with just the cinematography and the shots that it has, where it backs up and shows you Ireland, which is where they shot it. And so you see such the contrast of a beautiful land, but with ugly, violent people on it. And then you get to see what it was like in the 10th century about these folks. Just, this is how it was. It was very primitive and primal. And, if people wanted to fight, kill, and plunder, they did. And it was, I guess, kill or be killed for the most part. And then the roles of traditional people back then were completely different. And so today's sensibility, you might have a hard time watching this because nobody gets on their cell phone because they didn't have them. So you have to understand the primitive nature of the 10th century and what this is about. So I don't think it's just a typical Viking film. I think that Robert Eggers here just knows that, hey, there's some scenes I really want to set up to just tell you everything you need. So there's moments where there's the dialogue there, which you can like the accents or not. And there's moments where it's just the picture itself telling you, the cinematography itself telling you something by the pulling back shots, and sometimes him panning right up on Skarsgård's face, and you just seeing just the visceral hate and anger that he has for his uncle, for all the things that he did. In fact, the phrase that comes from this movie, if they're going to quote anything, is going to be, "I will avenge you, father. I will save you, mother. I will kill you, Ferner." Right? That's the phrase that you'll hear. So we'll probably have memes going out where people will list 3 things that they either avenge, will save, and know what they'll kill. So, let the memes begin. So I would say that. I would say the pros here would be that I really enjoyed certainly the cinematography. I thought it was a beautifully shot film. Most people are going to tell you that because it's true. That is consistent. I would say that the sound design is excellent. Every time Amleth pulls out that sword out of that sheath, just the sound it makes is so fulfilling. It's so rewarding to hear it, and it's like its own character. So the sound design is incredible. The score in the background with the drums and sometimes pulled out, and just the different strings and sounds whenever the film is more hallucinogenic or psychedelic, which you do have that here. To that point, I like how they handled the mysticism of, what did the Norsemen believe? What were their spiritual beliefs? What kind of god or gods did they feel like was the most important? Most of us know it's Odin, but don't think this is the Odin from Thor. Just get that all out your mind. It ain't nothing like that at all. And I would say that the film stays with its tone throughout. I would say that maybe some people might say it drags in places because you're just used to seeing fast cut different stuff that's been styled here lately. But I think then the cinephile will sit back and say, no, I appreciate that they let the scene marinate before they moved on to the next thing. So be prepared to check that and watch that and get a different style of how you would watch a movie rather than having everything you want when you want it at every moment and everything being so meta. This is not that at all. So just preparing you, because you will go see that. If you go see this movie, you're going to see a great movie. I would say the cons would be, as great as this cast is, I would have loved to have seen a little bit more scenes with Bjork, who plays the Cirrus in this film. It'd been nice to have her show up at different points in his life to remind him of the tear, and remind him of the things that he said he would do when he went through the whole paces with his father, and when his father was teaching him how to be a man, how to be a king, how to be someone worthy of following, and all of that. So it'd been nice to see more scenes with Bjork there. She's just eye candy, and then she just sounds good. She looks everything, the part. She's just perfectly cast for this. Just like Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, Bjork's perfectly cast as a seerist set back in the 10th century. She can totally do that. I would have also liked to have seen just a little bit more of Willem Dafoe, because he plays a jester in this film, and he's absolutely bonkers. He's bananas. And I definitely would have liked to have seen just some more scenes of him and integrate that a little bit better into the story. I would like to have seen that more. And of course, Ethan Hawke, being the dad, of course, like to see more of that relationship between that father and son, because you could see it was real. And sometimes that daddy wound is psychologically is a big issue for a lot of folks. So it's kind of fun to see father and son just getting down on their knees and doing rituals and stuff together. It's just, I would like to have seen a little bit more of that for sure. But that's pretty much the most I could say about the film. Other than that, enjoy the fight scenes, because the fight scenes, when they show up, are intense. This is not a film that's going action, 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 action every 5 seconds, like maybe the movie Ambulance, that Michael Bay film that I saw. That was intense, and that was intense the whole time. This film is not. It's got its moments where it's slow building, and then when it peaks hardcore. In fact, there's even a great one-shot scene where I think when they show up to that village that you see in the trailer, where he catches the spear and then throws it back, it's that whole sequence is like one shot. And that's fun. That was really some fun cinema to take in. So overall, obviously you can tell that I did like this film. I know some people may not, and that happens. Some people love things, some people hate things. And I would definitely say that I would recommend this film. I think this is a film that you can go see. Yes, it is pretty violent when it gets violent. Yes, it's a story that you've already seen before in terms of a revenge tale. However, you got to see it the way it's shot. You got to hear it the way Robert Eggers makes it sound. I mean, that's the piece to this. He's an auteur for sure, and he's a guy that we're going to see a lot more from, because he's able to do this. So if you don't want to see the same old formulaic stuff, this is a film that's going to break that mold for you and make you pretty happy. So anyway, that's what I thought. What do you think? Did you see it? Well, let me know in the comments, and I'll meet you in the comments section, and we can talk about The Northman. Anyway, this is Vega Bomber, and I'm out. Peace.